Live from Utah's Wasatch Front, the pulse of the Mountain West, where the issues that shape your life meet the truth that sets you free. Across Utah, across the Republic, and around the world, welcome. This is KMMU.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Goud crowd. I wasn't expecting that to pop so fast. It's great to be back. I had a week off. I had a friend in town, and so we did a little traveling. We went up to Idaho and went to Twin Falls and did a little sightseeing around there. And then on the way back, we actually went to Wendover and did a little gambling, which was fun. And now I am waiting for my computer to load, which is a little awkward here. Just give me a second. I have good news, though. I actually got a new computer. You might be able to notice the difference in the way I look in the camera. It's a little bit clearer, I think. And it looks like you can see my hair, which may be a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know which one. So let me just get this up because I had some clips I wanted to show you guys. So just give me 1 second. The start, though, I will say to all of you, Happy International Day. So if you are non-binary, I hope you're enjoying today. It's your day. It's your day to celebrate that you are unattractive and probably mentally ill. You know, and you just found a better way to say it than saying that you're unattractive and mentally ill. Now you just say that you're non-binary, and everybody has to treat you differently because of that. Man, I'm going to get annoyed with my computer. I just got a brand new computer, and now I can't get my little sheet to load. It's very weird. Okay, well, here, I have this stuff. Okay, before we get into it, there's a couple of kind of announcements I wanted to talk about. One is the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District Board wants to increase property taxes by 11%. And so I would just, oh no, did I lose it? This is not good. Can you see? Dwayne, am I still here? Oh no. I can't see anything. What's going on?
I can hear you, but your video's frozen.
This is annoying.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
What happened? Oh, hold up. This is very irritating. Just give me a second. Okay.
Can you hear me? I can hear you. Check, check.
I think I'm back. Okay, I'm back.
Can you hear me, Goud?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, that was so weird. My whole computer went down.
Well, and I could hear you, but your camera was frozen. So.
Oh, okay. My screen went blank. That's why I was like, I can't
Oh.
see anything. I don't even know if this is working anymore.
Hey, I thought it was brand new.
It is brand new. This is so pathetic. And I got it at Costco too. I'll have to like.
Well, Costco usually sells good stuff, but we'll see.
Yeah, it was like the best computer they had. Okay,
carry on. Carry on.
Okay, so what I was saying before I unfortunately got cut off, so I apologize, is that the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District Board wants to do a property tax increase of 11%. So for a house worth $630K, so I think that would be your assessed value, your property taxes would go up $11.78 per year per house. And so I'm against all tax increases. I don't care what it's for. The reality is that we already pay enough in property taxes for every single thing under the sun. We pay enough in income taxes, and they need to figure out how to get stuff done within the budget that they have. Andy Perucci actually is the one who tweeted about this. I think it was maybe earlier today. So to give him credit, and he's on the board and he's opposed to the tax increase. So that's a good thing. What I would say to everybody is, I think according to this article I found, about 800,000 residents of Salt Lake County get their water from this district. And so it'll impact the vast majority of the county. I think the only places not impacted are like Salt Lake City and Sandy. And I also probably like White City. And so if you're anywhere else, you should be sending emails to them to let them know that you oppose this tax increase. They're going to have a meeting on August 11th at 6 p.m. It's like their truth and taxation meeting, where you can go and you can oppose it. You could do it online. You can send them messages. They do these meetings during the summer on purpose to discourage people from coming out and opposing them. So I would encourage all of you to spread the word and to oppose this tax increase. We don't need any more tax increases. And actually, property taxes are a big reason why housing is unaffordable in Utah. It's not just prices. It's also all of the inputs in order for you to maintain the house. So if you're paying $5,000-$6,000 a year on top of an already high mortgage, just think about young people who are trying to buy homes. They're trying to afford that mortgage payment, and now you're adding on these massive property taxes on top of that. So I just encourage everybody, get out there, oppose this, oppose it. Okay, just one other announcement. I know I've been hearing from people looking for jobs, and I was at Smith's yesterday by my house. I go to the Smith's in Daybreak, so I'll just show you this. There's a new Smith's, I guess, opening in Bluffdale, and they have a mass hiring event coming up Thursday through Saturday, so July 17th to the 19th at Fat Cats on Redwood Road. So if you're looking for a job, I would encourage you to go look. I think these are unionized jobs, good paying jobs. I see the people that work at the Smiths by my house, and it seems like it's always the same people, so they must be at least decent jobs. So I would, anyway, spread the word about that. It looks like they're looking for everything too. Okay, so then the next thing I want to talk about is, we're going to talk about accountability today. And what does it mean? And I'll tell you, this came up to me because there was all of this going on with Dr. Kirk Moore, right? The plastic surgeon who the government charged with fraud because he gave people fake vaccine cards, whatever, for the COVID vaccination. I don't have an issue with this. I was opposed to the COVID vaccination, to all mandates. I don't think anybody should have taken it. That vaccine was dangerous. It is dangerous. You should not take it. I do not think there's science backing up that it doesn't even prevent you from getting COVID, and it causes all sorts of side effects that they lied about, and they know that they lied about them. So but that raises questions about accountability. So that case was dismissed over the weekend, and we'll get more into this a little bit, but there's more steps I think that need to be taken to actually hold people accountable for weaponizing the government against this doctor. But I think it raises greater questions about accountability in Utah in general. I think we have a real problem where people in elected office are never held accountable for their actions. And if you try to hold them accountable for them, then they start saying that you're negative, you're not disagreeing better, whatever that means. And so we'll talk about a few different examples of this. We'll come back to Dr. Moore because I want to start with Kira Birkeland as an example of this. Because last week, Kira Birkeland, the Utah Parents United announced that Kira Birkeland is now a member of their board. So, she used to be in the legislature. She ended up resigning after the 2024 election. And then she actually, and just kind of side note here, I actually met with her opponent. This was way after the election. I can't remember exactly when we met, but her opponent was a transgender man. So this woman who's pretending to be a man. And what is this? Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me check something real quick. I'm having a different issue. Okay, let's see if that works. My computer now said, hold on, let's see if it's charging. Is it charging? I can't tell. I think it is. Man, I got this new computer. I thought it was going to be all, smooth sailing, and this is turning out to be a little bit annoying. 29%. Is it charging? I'm sorry, let me just make sure it's charging. Okay, it's charging. Anyway, so I got something saying low battery. It's plugged in, so I don't know what that's about. Okay, anyway, so the point is, I actually met with her opponent. Her opponent was this transgender man, so it's a woman pretending to be a man. We had a really interesting conversation because clearly we come at this from very different perspectives. But anyway, we had a little coffee. We talked a little bit. I think she's a she, clearly knew who I was. So anyway, a fascinating individual. What I think is kind of notable though here is, and my question is, why is Utah Parents United promoting Kira Birkeland now? She has a history and a pattern of being what I would call a pathological liar. And so let me give you a few examples of this. I'll give you 2 examples of the lying and then 1 example of why actually even on policy she's bad. If you're Utah Parents United, we'll start with that. On the policies, she's actually wrong. So Utah Parents United is, I think it brands itself as being a very conservative parents group, right? They're against porn in schools. I don't think they want men in women's locker rooms, men in women's bathrooms, boys and girls' locker rooms, boys and girls' bathrooms, boys and girls' sports. And so in 2023, we got HB 257, right? And so this is a bill that restricted men and boys from going into girls' and women's bathrooms and locker rooms. The way the bill was passed, it still allows men to use women's bathrooms as long as they don't cause alarm. It's a very nebulous standard, and I think it's actually basically impossible to enforce. And then on the locker room one, it allows men to use women's locker rooms once they get bottom surgery. But I don't even think it's like it has to be complete. So it's one of these, and an amended birth certificate. But it turns out, I learned in this continuing legal education training that you can get an amended birth certificate without getting the full snip down there if you're a man. So that's what her bill actually allows. And there are those of us who are probably more conservative, like the group that I run was wanted a categorical ban on men in women's locker rooms and vice versa. Because I also think there's issues with having women, and no matter what stage of transition they're in, going into men's bathrooms, because I'll just say it, one of the issues is that you could have younger men in the locker room who could get aroused if they see a naked woman. And then next thing you know, that woman is going to accuse them of some sort of sexual assault, harassment, things like that. And that's really unfair because it's supposed to be like a men's locker room, right? I think like sometimes we only see it from the women's perspective and we don't look at it from the men's perspective, and we need to do that as well. So, but she refused We wanted a categorical ban on men and women's locker rooms, men and women's bathrooms. And frankly, I think it should apply to both government and private facilities throughout the state. The Utah legislature was all proud because they only did it for the government facilities, and they want free markets. If you're a private sector, gym, a private sector facility, I don't think we should actually allow that. We should be regulating bathroom use in those as well to protect both sexes and to make it so that there are single sex spaces, and to stop with this whole, promoting the trans agenda in Utah. That's kind of the point of this. Now, Kira refused to go on that categorical ban because it turns out she had been meeting with Equality Utah secretly, trying to figure out what the bill should look like. We didn't find this out until after we went to a hearing, and I call him a boy named Sue. His name's Sue Robbins. He testified and he thanked Kira. So let me play this for you. This is where we're going to be able to test if my computer's better. So, oh, here we go. Okay. This is okay. Let me share this with you. Just remember, this is a man.
Honored committee members, my name is Sue Robbins, and I'm with Equality Utah. Thank you for your time.
Okay. So again, this is can you guys hear? I think you can hear it, right?
At the outset, I want to thank the sponsor, who has met with us on several occasions to hear our concerns. Whether or not we can agree on language or find agreement on overall policy, we're
sorry, let me make this a little bigger. We can't see both. Okay.
grateful for the willingness to meet and have respectful dialogue. Honored committee members, my name
Okay,
is
so
Sue
this
Robbins,
is-
and I'm with Equality Utah.
That's a man talking,
At the outset, I want to
and he's
thank
pretending
the
to be a
sponsor,
woman.
who has met with us on several occasions to hear
And
our
just
concerns.
for context, this is also a man right here pretending to be a woman. This one's actually a veteran. So he was a man when he was in the armed forces. I don't remember what branch he was in, but this is the guy that actually Troy Williams used to get me fired from Lucid. He claimed that they thought I was gonna attack his name now is Olivia Jaramillo, that I was gonna attack Olivia, and I was like, I've met Olivia multiple times. I've never been rude to him to his face. I don't really care, but anyway, that's just a little context. So we'll listen to this one more time.
Whether or not we can agree on language or find agreement on overall policy, we're grateful for the willingness to meet and have respectful dialogue.
Okay. She didn't have those same meetings with conservatives. So Kara Birkeland, I am Kira, hear me roar, I am woman, blah, 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 had a secret meeting or meetings with Equality Utah and that transgender woman, Sue, a boy named Sue, where they discussed a bill about allowing men to use women's bathrooms and locker rooms. And the end result was they allowed men to use women's bathrooms and locker rooms. They just put small restrictions on it. So the bathroom one is actually the more disturbing maybe of the two, because literally men can still use women's bathrooms in Utah. And they can do, as long as they don't cause alarm. Like the standard is so nebulous that it puts the burden back on the women to track this. And, there was some very moving testimony at these hearings. One of them was actually Nicolette, is her last name Sheridan? I think it's Sheridan. She's now she's a representative out of Tooele County now. She gave a very powerful thing where she talked about how she was walking out of a bathroom and there was a little 5-year-old girl waiting to use the stall. And then when she's like, there was a man there too, but the man didn't seem to be the girl's father. So the girl goes into the stall, and Nicolette says I just felt like there's something wrong. Like I didn't want to leave this girl alone in the bathroom with this man. And she actually waited until the girl came out, washed her hands, and they walked out together. And I was like, that's scary. That's very scary for people. And it should be, by the way. Like, you shouldn't want that to happen. And actually, let's put this into context. If you're, from what I've seen at least, like usually when fathers take their children to the bathroom, they go to the men's bathroom, right? That makes more sense to me. And they take the child into the man's bathroom and go into a stall. It's a little bit weird for I wouldn't think a father would go into the women's bathroom to take his daughter to the bathroom. That's a little bit weird. So but that's the type of thing that can still happen in Utah thanks to Kara Birkeland and this bill and her unwillingness to work with conservatives. And this is why I don't understand why Utah Parents United promoted her. To me, like, on the policy, she's wrong. And by the way, wasn't that cool that the video actually played? Wow, new computer, that makes a big difference. Okay, so then on top of the policy issues, because actually if you looked at HB 257, it also has this entire super complicated language around these like privacy plans for minors that are having gender dysphoria issues, and like you can get extra privacy and stuff like that. And I find all of it to be weird. There isn't, this is just how I view it, but when I was a kid, I don't think there was this push for privacy like there is now. And I think it's unreasonable. And you're not really teaching kids how to live in the world as it exists. Instead, you're sitting here trying to accommodate private bathroom needs in public spaces. And that's not how the world works. It's just not feasible. We can't have individual bathrooms in every single public setting where you go to. That's not how the world works. And so you need to teach your children to be able to use a bathroom like normal people when they go out. But I feel like a lot of this stuff, when you look at these bills, it's almost like it's overprotection of kids in a strange way, meaning that it's not getting them ready for the real world. Because you go into, let's say you join the military, you will shower with other people. That's how it works. The bathrooms are never clean. That's not how it works. If you're not getting your kids ready for that, you're not really preparing them for the real world. And if you look at HB 257, it has a lot of those types of problems in it. Okay, so then my next issue with Kira is just the serial lying. So the first one was, and we've gone over this in detail, so I'm not going to go as detailed today, but in 2016, she was a Never Trump delegate to the Republican National Convention. And she claimed that multiple Trump supporters, female Trump supporters, attacked her in a bathroom at the convention. She never presented any evidence besides her claim. And what's kind of, I went into this in detail before, but here's what she looks like here. I think she's had work done. So we're all on the same page here, because she does not look like that anymore. And I also want to note, look at how she's dressed appropriately for a convention. That will be, that's important for the next story, where she claims that her daughter got body shamed for wearing quote unquote gym clothes. But here's the thing. So she made these claims. If you've ever been to a convention, everybody's running around with name tags on, right? And they'll have all sorts, like you have to vote, so you're gonna have like your little voting stuff, all sorts of things that would identify you. Everybody knows somebody there. You're not gonna be able to cause a scene without people finding out about it. So we never got names of anyone that allegedly attacked her in the bathroom, because she was part of this Never Trump effort to try to steal the nomination from President Trump in 2016. The story was fake. It was a lie. And she's never been called out for it. She's never answered real questions about it since then. She blocked me on social media because I brought this stuff up. And but I think it's really on voters to hold people like this accountable. But I'll say this, like, if she lied about this, you should question what else she'll lie about, because it doesn't even make sense that you would lie about this. Like, if you're a Never Trumper in 2016, and all the media is on your side, right? Like, I remember back then they were all like, oh, they're gonna steal the nomination, they're gonna use the rules, blah blah blah, right? Oh, do we have a call, Mr. Producer? I feel like my producer just came out.
Well, yes, we do.
Okay,
It's your buddy Alex.
Oh, great.
You didn't see my message? I put it in the private chat, and I thought I'll just.
Oh, let me. Okay, yeah. Let's have him in.
Alex, are you there?
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, it's a coincidence that you were talking about this bathroom issue, because I got to tell you, I was on hold for so long. You know how when you're at a restaurant and the food doesn't come and it doesn't come, and They say if you go to the bathroom, food will come. That's like calling in the show, okay? Because I was on hold for so long, I had to use the bathroom. And now you have me on the pod. That'll just be between us. They can cut that in post, okay? So we'll just keep it. But
You're
anyway,
lying.
I want to talk about that non-binary tweet that you sent out. You said something about being ugly and mentally ill. Is non-binary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what that is?
Yes. Yeah. Non-binary is just another way of saying you're ugly. And,
you know, I dated an ugly mentally ill for a long time, and he was undiagnosed. But your tweet, maybe that's what his condition was. He just didn't get the treatment that he needed. Is non-polar binary. You know, listen, I gotta tell you something. I watched the video feed because you got several video feeds of this podcast going. So sometimes when I can get it on my jump phone, those things don't get no kind of reception. I would not recommend them. But once in a while, I can get to the Wi-Fi and I can watch that. I can watch that video feed that you got going. And Trump phones. Have you heard these Trump phones? We'll get back to the bathrooms in a minute.
Okay. Well, you got to wrap it up. We gotta, you know, this is I've heard of the Trump phone, but I think it's going to be a while before it comes out. But what is your point about? Were you talking bathrooms? You have a comment about the bathrooms?
Oh, I don't remember. You were doing something early in the bathrooms. They put me on the line here. I wanted to talk about why you were gone for a couple.
What was that?
Alex he's breaking up. Alex, you're breaking up. Dang it.
Yeah. I think you're out in the country. Can you get better reception?
Here, try again, Alex. Go ahead.
So, Goud, you were out for a couple weeks, and I was just wondering why you were out for so long.
I was out for 1 week because I went to Idaho and Nevada. I said that at the beginning. Vacation.
Nevada. You know, I got a story about Nevada and illegal immigration when you want to hear it. But your producer, Biff, I don't think you call him Biff. You call him Mr. Producer because you can't. I don't think you can pronounce Biff with English being your second language, and that's the impediment you got. But, you know, Biff had asked me to host, and I said that just wouldn't be fair to Goud. If, you know, I want the audience to be happy when he comes back. And if I guest hosted, that would put a pall over his return. I don't think that'd be fair. But my final question is, I just want to know, what did you do to piss off your lighting man? You know, you were on here a couple weeks ago, and the way that they had that light hitting your head, them bald patches over your ears, they were just popping. And I was wondering, was that from COVID? Is that why you're so upset about COVID? They don't look that bad. They're not noticeable until they, you know, they put you under that harsh fluorescent lighting.
Oh my God. I don't think I have bald spots, but okay. All right. Well, thank you for calling in, Alex. It's always good to hear from you.
Okay. I'll take my answer off the air. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Bye. Well, it's always an adventure. Okay. So I can't remember where I was. Anyway, okay, so in this case, like I was saying, she had actually she made these claims. The claims are fake, and the reason we know that they're fake is that she's never named anybody that was in the claims that allegedly attacked her in the bathroom. It was made up, and honestly, like the political.
Monica, are you there?
Oh,
I'm here.
we got Monica.
How are you?
I'm good. Sorry you had to wait so long. Goud's old buddy.
Dwayne,
Alex.
I can hear you, Dwayne.
Oh, how fun. It's okay. I don't mind.
Hang on. Let me drop you in.
Dwayne, you're
Okay.
already live. We can hear you. Hey, Dwayne. Oh, I'm very confused now.
You
Dwayne.
probably heard me, didn't you?
I did hear you. Yeah, you're good.
Well, I have a better caller. This is Monica.
Okay. Hey, Monica, how are you doing?
Alex always cracks me up, but I think I'm going to have to ban him.
He goes
Go
all
ahead,
over the
Monica.
place.
Great.
Go ahead, Monica.
Sounds like a good conversation. I'm interrupting here, so.
No, go ahead. So we're talking, I think you might have had some thoughts on Kara Birkeland becoming a member of the board at Utah Parents United. Tell us about that.
Well, apparently she's been added to their board, and you know she's a former legislator. UPU, when Kara Birkeland was running her HB 257 bill last year, which claimed, it's funny, they kind of promoted it as a big protection for women because, gosh, we can't have men and women bathrooms or locker rooms, and yet the bill allows exactly that. In government bathrooms, there's no restriction on men being in women's restrooms, and as far as government locker rooms go, they can still be in there with a few conditions if they meet a few conditions. So it doesn't protect anybody. But UPU promoted her bill as a women's Bill of Rights, if you can believe that.
I remember that. You're right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They totally came out. Rolled out the big marketing campaign for it, and splashed out the memes for it, saying "Women's Bill of Rights." Yay! Congratulations! Wonderful! Like woo woo.
Yeah.
Very misleading. Very misleading if you didn't read the bill carefully, and even if you read it carefully, it's so poorly written. But but if you didn't pay attention very closely, you could be easily misled into believing that there was some kind of protection there for women and girls in these restrooms, and there really isn't. So I find that really disgusting. But hey, I guess if that's the kind of wool you need to pull over the people's eyes to make them think that a legislator is doing something, and then you turn around and bring that legislator onto your board, I guess that's read what you want into that. But I don't view that as a very sincere thing to do to parents. I think that's terribly it's terribly misleading. I think it does.
That's an interesting observation. I talked about how a little bit earlier, I talked about how the bathroom piece of it was men can use women's bathrooms as long as they don't cause alarm. I think was one of the terms used in that. And then also that the men can use women's locker rooms after they get the gender confirmation surgery and the amended birth certificate. But to your point, I don't think there's a way to really enforce that, because because you can get the birth certificate before you get the full gender confirmation surgery. And so how do you check to make sure that they actually have met the requirements? I mean, you literally, you're actually doing what they complain about, and that is the genital check, right? Like there's the bill, I think you were a part of this, but people wanted to have a categorical ban on men and women's spaces, and we didn't get that. I mean, I guess maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think that's de minimis. I think that's what we should be demanding. It's very obvious. There are two sexes. The longer we try to sustain this fiction that for whatever reason, men have a right to women's privacy spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms, I don't care if they're just standing in there. And if the law says that's okay, it's not okay by me. I don't want a man in the restroom with my daughter, because these are male restrooms and these are female restrooms. So when you go up to the Capitol and you've got your kids in tow and they need to go use the restroom, well, guess who else is allowed legally to be in that restroom with them? Men. It doesn't matter if they look like women or are trying to look like women or are just men. They have every right to be in the restroom with your daughter or with me, and to be sharing that same space when you have a bunch of women who are in there in various vulnerable states of undress. And I feel like that's just simply, that's not acceptable on any terms. I can't believe that in Utah, of all places, like we're thinking that somehow that's okay and we can fool the public to make them think that they're somehow safe, that girls are safe if the man isn't actively raping them or molesting them. I don't think it's safe at all. We know, this is, I feel like this is just, it's disgusting. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to play a quick video clip, and then I'm going to ask you a question about this, okay?
Committee members, my name is Sue Robbins, and I'm with Equality.
Let's see here.
Other committee members, my name is Sue Robbins, and I'm with Equality Utah. Thank you for your time. At the outset, I want to thank the sponsor, who has met with us on several occasions to hear our concerns. Whether or not we can agree on language or find agreement on overall policy, we're grateful for the willingness to meet and have respectful dialogue. Other committee members, my name is Sue Robbins, and I'm with Equality.
Okay, so Monica, that I don't know if you could hear it, but that's a video of Sue Robbins. I think you know a boy named Sue, the transgender. Yep. Okay, and he's talking about how he's thanking Kira Birkeland for meeting with them to discuss this bill privately before it was actually made public through the legislative website and to the public. I'm wondering, do you know, were other conservatives also asked to meet with Kira before the bill was actually proposed?
Well, I know I wasn't, and we had raised. I think we were one of the very first people to. When I say we, I mean like my organization, Higher Ground. Natalie Klein is a part of that. You probably remember at the same time this bill was getting passed, I believe the legislature, I don't believe actually this bill went into law the 30th of January. So this is prior to the censure of Natalie Klein. There was no reason, I guess, why the legislature couldn't have reached out to either of us when we started expressing some concerns online. Kira Birkeland was aware of the concerns. They were poo-pooed away, dismissed, and we were mocked for raising them. And I found it kind of interesting because, you know, if you read the bill, it's written in such a way that the language is, I think, strategically ambiguous. A person could read into it what they want to read into it. So if you want to believe that the bill it keeps women or it keeps men and boys out of girls and women's spaces, you could read that into it. But if you want to read into it, like obviously like Sue Robbins, Mr. Robbins there, he saw this as, you know, great. Thank you for sitting down with us and working with us on this. Equality Utah always seems to get a seat at the table. I don't know why. It seems very interesting. We have a legislature dominated by Republicans, but obviously not necessarily conservatives, who seem more than open to this idea of basically negotiating with terrorists, so to speak. You know, people who will get their, one way or another, they'll get what they want out of a bill. And that's essentially the Utah way, right? This idea of like, we'll come down to the table, we'll sit down at the table with somebody who wants the exact opposite of what we want, and we'll make sure everybody walks away with something, which means that you're going to have holes, right? You're going to have holes in your bill. Like, you might get something you want. Maybe you get 90% of what you want, but the 10% you give away undermines the 90% you thought you were getting. So I find it a weird way of governing when you're the party that is in control. I don't understand that. Yeah,
it is really strange. You know, in 23, I helped pass HB 228, or I think it's 228. And this was changing our laws about conversion therapy. Under the old rule, if a child child identified as the opposite sex, therapists were not allowed to try to get them to become comfortable in their birth sex. And so basically they had to participate in converting a child into a transgender, right? And I remember I worked with Representative Peterson on it, and the Speaker of the House at the time was Brad Wilson, and he actually forced Representative Peterson to go and meet with Equality Utah as part of that effort. The bill was perfect as it was proposed because it said talk therapy is not conversion therapy. It was perfect. We had to change it because they were trying to appease Equality Utah, and I didn't understand why. And I still don't understand why. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I don't understand that playing to lose mentality. If you claim you have a mandate, like we're giving the Republicans a mandate to govern, presumably like Republicans, which would be from, I would consider a family friendly perspective, and this idea that you would just kind of give away the barn, without really trying to, secure anything for yourself in a meaningful way. I don't understand it. I really don't. It's kind of like, you might as well play for all the marbles. They certainly do. Or at least, they play for the marbles that count, and they get what they want. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on whether this issue should be revisited in a future legislative session? I'm just thinking that in the last session, we had the issue with the dorm rooms and the transgender, the man trying to use the women's dorm room. And I thought the bill that came out this cycle was actually much better worded than what we got in HB 257. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on whether we should maybe revisit the bathrooms and locker rooms issue and have different legislators handle it.
I think it needs to be revisited. Absolutely. We've been banging on this drum for the past year plus now. And I feel like we're one of, we're a loud voice, but what's interesting is the quiet from legislators. They should know that this is something that is way past, it wasn't good when it went in. Okay, so now you have to get it in. And now, how hard would it be to go in and make some tweaks? But I think what they're trying to do is still kind of appease and please all sides of the aisle. I don't think that mentality has gone anywhere. And so that's our problem is, personnel is policy. And as long as we kind of have the same people essentially up there in leadership positions who I think have shown a willingness to compromise, and maybe they're more concerned about message bills and bills that will actually put the screws on. They could do it. They could change it if they wanted to. There are two components, right? There's the public restroom and locker room component, and then there's the component that affects the schools. What's funny is Chair Birkeland, has accused me of lying about that. There are no, what did she say? No boys are allowed in girls' restrooms. Basically, that isn't happening. She unequivocally stated it isn't happening. Well, tell that to the parent I just talked to a couple of months ago, right before school got out, about whose daughter at her local, her junior high in the Valley, here in Salt Lake Valley, had seen boys in her restroom on more than one occasion and more than one boy. Oh yeah, absolutely. Seriously? And this mother, seriously. Now, here's the thing is, if you go to somebody with this story, if you go to somebody in the legislature and you say this is happening, what will happen more often than not is they'll look you straight in the eye and they'll say, we passed a law, and the law says that's against the law, so it can't be happening, and they get gaslighted like crazy. And more often than not, that parent or that child will pay a dear price, socially or politically, for basically pointing it out, because, gosh, that makes our legislature look foolish because we passed a law and we are, and the sponsoring legislator said that's not happening. Well, yes, it is happening. And we have provisions, again, in that law that allow school personnel to interpret it in such a manner as to say, oh, yeah, there are exceptions here. For instance, right here, in lines 373 through 379, it says an individual may use the following evidence as a defense to the allegation that the student is not eligible to access and use a sex-designated privacy space, basically that doesn't align with their birth sex, right? And so the student can use an unamended birth certificate or present documentation of a medical treatment or procedure that is consistent only with the sex designation of the privacy space. So if I'm getting female hormones and I'm a male, that's the type of medical treatment or procedure that is consistent with the sex designation of the privacy space. I am receiving estrogen as a male. Estrogen belongs to women. So, we have all sorts of built-in loopholes in the law that schools can look at and say, oh, yeah, totally. And then it says none of this basically applies if you're intersex. Sue Robbins, the male that you just, took the video of, Sue Robbins says that I'm intersex. Sue Robbins says that he is intersex. Well, intersex, you're still a male or a female. You're just exhibiting maybe higher, if you're a male, you're exhibiting maybe higher estrogen levels than normal. Or you demonstrate lower virility. You name it. There's a variety of things in the law that qualify as an intersex, as intersex. It doesn't necessarily mean ambiguous genitalia. And so we have a lot of already. We have a spectrum that's built into the law as to what constitutes intersex. But being intersex, again, or having an intersex condition, which is a sexual development disorder, that doesn't negate the fact that you are either XY or XX, right?
Well, also, sorry, just to your point, the transgender people have kind of glommed onto this idea of intersex to give themselves some sort of justification for being the way they are, and to take it from being a mental health issue into an actual genetic anomaly, which it is not. Because Sue Robbins is not the only one that claims that. Jerry Brummett, the one who blocked you guys from your Utah Women's Republican Club meeting, he also claims the intersex label.
Right. And there's really nothing underneath the law that requires, I guess, any sort of, like in here, there's no requirement that they prove intersex status. It just says, well, if it doesn't apply to them if they're intersex. So bada bing, that's kind of like get into the women's bathroom free card right there. I don't understand why our legislators can't see how porous this language is. Again, what they like to do is claim, oh, we'll get sued if we don't put that in there. So get sued, litigate it.
Right.
In fact, as I've been told by others, a lot of times law enforcement does not view, I guess, law is necessarily binding until it's kind of been tested in the courts in certain cases. So let it get tested in the courts. At least we can, but I don't see, I believe, and this is how I feel like the law supports this, is that it is sex-based discrimination to not provide sex-segregated spaces for women and for men. That is discriminating on the basis of sex. And so we are in violation of the law as it was originally intended to begin with. But the fact that we allow men into women's spaces says we don't have women's spaces, and vice versa. I don't think it's fair for men to be sharing their spaces with women. I find that awkward for men.
No, I agree. Okay, Monica, I got to let you go. I guess I have another caller on the line, but thank you for calling in. This was really helpful, really insightful, too, in terms of HB 257 and how it works and maybe a path forward on that. So thanks for calling in.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Goud. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I hear we have another caller. Yeah, I prepare all the stuff to tell you guys, and then get calls. But calls are good. They actually make it. If you guys all tell me you're going to call ahead of time, then I actually can prepare less. Hi, Mr. Producer. Do we have the next caller up?
I think so. Hang on just a second.
Okay.
Hang on. Tracy, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, there you go, Goud.
Okay.
Tracy, go ahead.
Okay, Tracy, welcome to the show. What do you want to talk about today? Let's see what you got.
Well, I was calling to see if John Johnson ever came on the show. I didn't listen last week, but
no, I talked to him on the phone.
Yeah.
Not yet. I talked to him on the phone recently, and then like we were talking about the whole back and forth about the steak dinner thing and the steak dinner group he created on Facebook. It was a good we had a good conversation, and then he had to go like all of a sudden, and then I haven't been able to touch base with him again because I would like him to come on to the show to talk about it, and not from I think like I said before, not from I'm going to attack you perspective. I'm more just kind of trying to figure out, is there a way for us all to kind of find some common ground and maybe move forward on this? Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was hoping that he would go onto your show too. But yeah, for me, my thought is, I don't know how you can be a steak dinner Republican with a conscience, because that to me is just saying you're okay with the corruption and the election fraud that we had. I mean, It isn't the duty of the LG. She was supposed to protect that ballot. She did it when Lyman wanted to add on Bangeter. She sure didn't allow him to access the ballot. But they encouraged, they're offering this guy $1,000 to become a Lyman write-in campaign. And it to me, if you join as a state Republican or state dinner Republican, what does it say about your character? That means it's a joke. The elections are a joke. So I would like to hear his side of it.
Yeah, I'll try. No, I'll try to get him on again. Like I said, I was out of town, and we talked on the phone, and I didn't get him to like commit to come on. So I'll try again. I guess do you think is that the main issue? Is the 2024? I agree with you. I think there was election fraud because they did not get the signatures that they needed to be able to access the GOP primary ballot. Is that the main issue with the difference between steak dinner Republicans and other Republicans, or are there other issues as well that are kind of dividing the two camps?
No, that is like the top of the line issue, that it is indicating that representatives will only listen to you if you buy them a steak dinner. Is pretty much what it is that they can be bought, and that's how the policies in Utah are pushed and passed. Is if you're a lobbyist up there and you're giving them all this kind of praise and kissing their butts, then they'll do what you ask. It's almost like he said to me once, John Johnson said to me, it's like, you're not going to get anywhere. So I don't have to kiss your butt in order to protect my constitutional freedoms. That is your job. Yeah. And for me, the state, that's the whole, it's a whole slew of things with the state dinner Republicans. It's just not the elections. It's that they can be bought. Give them a steak dinner and they'll be your pal.
Okay. Hey, Tracy, maybe for the listeners who don't know what a steak dinner Republican is, can you define it for us?
Yeah, so it's anybody that won't stand up against pretty much corruption or wrongful doings. Because in the last election, Lyman had who they stole his election from, his nomination. And see, that's another thing, is even if they claim that they can buy enough signatures in order to get a second chance on the nomination, which is totally unconstitutional, what they've essentially left us with is an election system that's
vulnerable to fraud. And so the state dinner Republicans, we started calling them this, as they would just sell themselves and not stop it. I mean, it's wrong. No matter which way you look at it, Spencer Cox was never nominated to the ballot. He never qualified. And so if you're okay with that, you're no different than Cox's campaign, who allegedly offered this other guy, Lyman, Richard Lyman, $1,000 in a steak dinner if he would go and make the declaration that he would do a write-in candidate. And so they think that this is all a joke, you know, and so they're like, okay, if you guys are going to label us steak dinner Republicans, they took on the name and they're almost like proud of it. So that's what a steak dinner Republican is someone that doesn't stand up or have integrity. I mean, the whole thing was wrong.
Okay. See, I think I just want to put one finer point on that write-in piece, and the reason that was an issue is because Phil Lyman was also running a write-in campaign, and so by adding another Lyman as a write-in candidate, the goal was to cause confusion. So you can no longer write just Lyman on the ballot. You had to write Phil Lyman in order for it to count for Phil, right? That's kind of the
Exactly. And it did cause confusion because then he ended up withdrawing to Richard Lyman. And so then the news article came out that Lyman dropped out. And so people didn't even vote for him because they thought he was not even a write-in candidate anymore, which he never should have been. He was the nominee. He should have been on the general ballot. So they robbed him twice. And so to be a state dinner Republican is disgusting to me. Like, there is no morals at all. Because that's what
I think is. Just from my discussion with John, the impression I got is the whole point of what he was doing was more just to mock it and to make fun of it, because I think I'm just messenger, so don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you what I heard is that I think for him, he was like, I've done, like, I don't think he's for sale to anybody, because isn't he like independently wealthy anyway? So I would think, so my impression was he was more just saying, look, I'm just getting tired of being called names and I've done all these conservative things. That was kind of what I got from him.
Goud, why would you think that would be even funny if the elections are serious? I mean, that is what America is made about. And you're going to turn around and try to make like fun of it and mock it. I would be like, I am not a state dinner Republican, and that was wrong. Their duty is to impeach Cox because he's not even valid on the ballot. They need to impeach him. But instead, they protect him, and they treat this government like it's their own business, and it's not. Government wasn't supposed to be a business, and that's what they think is this is their corporation. And
I guess. I mean, I understand what you're saying about, election fraud is not a joke, but at the same time, I mean, when things like this happen, you have to be able to laugh a little bit, because otherwise you'll just cry. It's so pathetic, because I agree 100%. I don't think they had the signatures. I think they
started the state dinner Republicans. That's why we started calling them that. It's because we're making fun of them for being such wimps that can't even call out the corruption in their state, or for afraid that they might get in trouble by the boss. That's how they're acting. That's not the way the government works. They're supposed to be a representative form of government, and they should see, oh, he didn't really make it qualified for the ballot, but they're acting like, oh, well, that was an accident by the clerk. No, I don't think they ever had any intention. It's a money handshake deal. That signature thing is a freaking hogwash, which they created and they schemed, and they didn't even have the intention to get those signatures. It was a money handshake deal. Yeah, and that's why they centralized it to Davis County. There was no intent. No
You're
way.
saying something very different. I'll tell you, like, my understanding, or maybe my impression, because I don't think we have a full sense of this, is that they tried to get the signatures, but they could not. I actually think Governor Cox was that unpopular, and I think it's all sorts of stuff, right? The COVID response.
Right.
I think a lot of people probably think he's a
I
closeted
don't think
homosexual. The promotion of the trans agenda. The homosexual is my own personal view. And then, but I think, so I think the intention was to collect the signatures. They didn't do it, but what they showed us is it doesn't matter. They don't have to collect them. You're saying you don't even think that they intended to collect them.
I don't even think they cared. They went through the process. It was just like acting. And they went through the process, and they didn't really care if they didn't get them or not. Because in Spencer Cox's mind, he's entitled to that. That's why he stood there and screamed at us during convention. He's like, I don't care what you guys say. I'm going to be governor. Like, he's a tyrant.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That's a little bit of a different viewpoint on it. Now you kind of did, I will say you did hit on, I think the only real solution at this point is that if there's any accountability, this show is supposed to be about accountability. There has not been accountability for what happened, for the cheating, right? But I think you've actually hit on the only way to do the accountability at this point, which is impeachment and removal. And so I don't know. I don't think that would ever happen, though, because that's a political issue, and you don't have the type of legislators that would do
it. They won't do it because it's a business thing, and there's this club that you don't rock the boat, and it's people out. To me, it's people. It's everybody in Count My Vote. It's all those guys that run this state.
Wait, say that part again. I didn't hear. You said people tell you.
To me, there is a club that runs this state. So it's everything that the founders did not want. Is an elite or an elitist group of people thinking they know best and that they will run this state the way they want to. And that is everybody a part of Count My Vote, in my opinion. That's the, billionaire stadium welfare. That's the Mike Levitt's freaking insurance crap. They straddle you with all this insurance crap. And that's what his company does. And the telecom business, with Cox's family's business. It's all the elitists controlling and pushing these laws and regulations to favor their business. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. I understand. Actually, I think that's a great point, because if you look at our elected officials, the vast majority of them make money off of government. And I will tell you, like, from my personal perspective, I find it maddening, because they act like they're these very accomplished people. And then you look at them and they're all profiting off government. They're not actually adding any value to the state at all. And because they're profiting off government, they pass laws to benefit themselves. They want to increase budgets constantly because it benefits them. And I don't think people quite understand those connections and how they work. So I think that's a really good observation about maybe what's driving this.
Well, and one of these times I'm going to dig into Mike McHale, because he's sure interested in horse bills and horse racing bills. Why do we have a horse racing commission when we don't have a horse track?
He buys horses, like really fancy.
Very interested, and he pushes those statutory bills through too. So I can't wait to start looking into that.
You'll have to come report to us when you look into it, because that'll be a good one.
Yeah.
He's really into those horses. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere too. I just don't know what it is that's appropriate for the radio. So So I'm not saying anything. Okay, Mr. Producer says there is no vehicle for impeachment of a sitting governor in Utah. Huh, surprises me. Disagree Butter says if you just said that. Go ahead.
I think it's
No, go
in the it's in the Constitution, the Utah Constitution. We have impeachment proceedings. It's supposed to initiate from the Speaker of the House, which I took in a paper and showed how the law was broken to Mike Schultz, and he refused to impeach him. And I showed him how to impeach them through the Utah Constitution. Instead, he kicked me out of his office. So what we've got here is it is a syndicate, is how most people will say it, but it's a conspiracy to protect each other. And the way you commit election fraud is you have a governor or a lieutenant governor, executive department that's willing to break the law. You have a judicial system that's willing to protect them. And they've all appointed these. Mike Leavitt appointed Justice Durant, who unlawfully dismissed Phil Lyman's petition when he was contesting the results of the primary. And then you have a legislative department that won't do crap. And then you have to have Utah party officers that will silence any dissent, that will attack any dissent that goes after this system. And that's what they have.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in, Tracy. Great insights.
Okay,
and you'll have to come back with that Mike McKell report. We are looking forward to it.
I know. As soon as I get it, I'm sure it's going to be a doozy.
Okay, cool.
And I'll see you. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks. Okay, so Disagree Butter says, if he just said that, it would have all gone away. I think he's talking about Senator John Johnson, maybe saying that he was like gonna laugh or go cry. I'm not sure. You'll Disagree Butter, give us a little clarification there. I'm sorry, I read that maybe out of time, like not at the right time. Okay, you're watching and listening to KMMU Main Street Media Utah. We are live on X, Rumble, and YouTube. Search KMMU on your favorite platform. Thanks so much for listening. And feel free to call in. Phone lines are open, and we always love to hear from you. So even if I'm talking, call in. You can interrupt me, no biggie. Okay, let me continue. I'm going to speed up my Kira Birkeland point because honestly, she's kind of boring. But I do want to point out I think she's had work done. So let me just point that out, and then we'll move on from her. Because she also made up a story in 2024. I've gone over that, where she said that her daughter got body shamed when she showed up to the 2024 Utah GOP convention. That's totally fake, made up story. You know that because the story itself has changed as she's told it. The first time she told it, some female volunteer told her 19-year-old daughter, who is an adult, that she was not dressed appropriately for a convention. And so Kira said, we tried to look, we didn't have time to look. So we had to go to the airport. So we left right away. And then this year when she was talking about it before she blocked me, she said, oh, Goud, we looked everywhere for her, but we couldn't find her. So, like the story itself changed, totally made up, fake, not real. But let me just show you this because this is what I was talking about in terms of the work done. So let's see. Oops. I guess I'm still sharing a screen, but I can't tell. I don't see it. Hold on. I don't see the screen I'm sharing. Okay, so you guys see it. So this is Kira in 2016. I'm assuming you can see that. And then this is her now. I don't think this looks like the same. I mean, she looks like she's had work done. There you go. See? That's clearly someone who had work done. Lots of people here get work done. A little weird to me, but, I don't come from a culture where we get work done. Okay, so that's the Kira Birkeland piece of this. Now, so again, there's no accountability, right? So she's lying about stuff. She's not even doing good on policy issues that Utah Parents United cares about. And so instead of she's gone. She resigned from the legislature. Let her go. Like, who cares? They promote her, and now they make her a board member, which is kind of my point about the lack of accountability in Utah's culture. Now, the next one I want to talk about is Dr. Kirk Moore. So I think a lot of you guys are following this story. In 2023, Dr. Moore was indicted for defrauding the United States by issuing fake COVID-19 vaccination cards. Let me say, I don't have any issue with this at all. At the time, I was one of the people who refused to take it because I'm in the Guard. We were required to take it, and I knew at the time that it was dangerous. I don't know why. I was thinking about this because there's a lot of people who are very forgiving of elected officials who promoted the COVID vaccination. And I think they do it under the guise of we didn't know that it was going to be unsafe at the time. And I actually think everybody, like, had you done a little bit of research, you would have been able to figure it out, especially elected officials who had more access to information than everyday people. Now, I think the lesson for everyday people is when the government tells you something, or government officials tell you something, or people that are connected to the government tell you something, understand that everything that they are saying is propaganda, is definitionally propaganda. You should always question it. You should always seek out independent sources, and you should always do your own research before coming to conclusions. That's what you should have done with the COVID vaccination. That's what you should have done with the mask mandates. That's what you should have done when they were telling you how to run your business. Every single thing we should have been pushing back on from the beginning, because it was all a bunch of BS by cowards that were in office and were just very prone to fall for all propaganda, because that's how elected officials act. So it's on us to do better in the future. Oh, it looks like we have a call. You can put them on. Okay, let's take this call and then we'll come back to this in a minute. And let me see if I can find here, hold on. Because I think we actually have.
Ryan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How's it going?
There you go.
Oh, hey Ryan, how are you?
You're talking to Goud. Go ahead.
Hello.
Okay.
Goud.
Hello, how are you? I want to start by wishing you a happy International Non-Binary People's Day. How does that make you feel?
That's weird that they have a day for something that doesn't exist.
I know, right?
Non-binary is not a thing. There are men who wear nail polish. There are women who like flannel and hiking boots. No one is non-binary. And it cracks me up for two reasons. Number one, binary implies that there are two genders in the first place. And in Spanish and other languages, they have a masculine and feminine version of that word.
Oh, that's really funny. Oh, is it like non-binario and non-binaria or something?
Yes, it's hilarious. It's such stupidity. It's just one more way of the LGBTQ cult to recruit people who want to be part of something special, who want to be a victim, who want to be noticed. It's just about recruitment at this point, because gays, we don't need any attention anymore. Everybody was over it. So they're recruiting weird, insecure, fat people who want to feel special and be part of the alphabet.
Oh my God. Okay, so here's my question. Have you ever met an attractive non-binary person?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think the requirement to be non-binary is to be fat and ugly.
Yep, I agree.
There's no such thing. Listen, I've met like rocker type people who are edgy or cool or goth. I've met, feminine men, masculine women. They're cool, whatever. But the people who call themselves non-binary are just creepy, and they look like they should be on To Catch a Predator.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see their flag. Even the flag is ugly. It's like yellow, white.
Oh, they have a flag.
Purple,
I didn't know they had a flag.
Yeah, I guess it's an ugly flag for people that are ugly. So I guess it makes sense from that perspective.
Amen. And you know what? Before anybody calls me a jerk, when I'm out in public, in my day-to-day life, I am nice to ugly people. So there.
Yeah, me too. I'm nice to everybody. It's not like I've shown anyone's picture to say, like, look at this ugly non-binary person, you know. Oh, I have to say, go ahead. No, hold on. I have to say the opinions expressed are those of the hosts and callers and are not the opinions of KMMU. Okay, so just so we're all on the same page. But go ahead, Ryan. Give us some final thoughts on non-binariness.
Oh, on the non-binary, you know, I'm somebody who enjoys drag. I enjoy, you know, I'll wear a Britney Spears t-shirt. I don't mind having a few feminine qualities, but I'm not stupid enough to think that enjoying those things has anything to do with gender. It just has to do with colors and tastes. And again, non-binary, queer, all of these labels are just recruitment tools by the groomers at the LGBTQ club. They want to groom children into joining their movement, and by telling 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds that they're non-binary, it opens the door for them to groom them with further sexualization, such as transgenderism or what have you. And then they recruit them to go to their pride events because they're non-binary, where they are visually accosted with adult sexuality. So it's just another example of grooming. The LGBTQ cult is nothing but groomers. And gays like you and me, we just want to live our lives and make America strong. We don't need all of that.
Yep, 100%. Hey, well, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Of course, it's an honor. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we had to have Ryan come on and talk about non-binariness. It's totally made up. So okay, let me continue here. Where was I? Keep getting. Okay, so Dr. Moore, right? So on over the weekend, so in 2023 under Biden is when he was indicted, right? So I understand what happened at that point in time. Fine. But then also part of the claims were, so he did the fake vaccine cards. He destroyed $28,000 and $28,028.50 worth of vaccines. That's what the indictment says, that were provided to his office by the government. And and so he distributed at least 1,937 doses worth of fraudulently completed vaccination record cards in exchange for either payment or donations to specific charities without administering a COVID vaccination. So thank you to him for doing that. And then he also injected, or him and some of the co-defendants, they injected saline shots into minors at the request of the parents so they would think they were getting the COVID shot. So I think some parents were like, well, you have to take it for, maybe you had to do it for a school activity because they were doing all these mandates. And the parents were like, I don't want you to take a COVID shot. So give him a saline shot. So he thinks he took it. So he doesn't have to lie, right? And then send them on their way. Well, so from 2023, this is when this starts. 2025, we come to last week when the trial started. A lot of locals went out. They were protesting. They were raising the issue. By the way, props to all of them. Wonderful job done. It got the attention of people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Mike Lee. Mike Lee actually finally did something, so props to him. And over the weekend, Pam Bondi announced that the case was being dropped. Fantastic. Okay. But now there's an accountability issue. We're not done. And there's a couple things. One is Dr. Moore and his co-defendants have attorney's fees from the last 2 years that they have accrued due to this unjust prosecution. I think that the government should reimburse them for their attorney's fees. Otherwise, the process itself now is the punishment. And so I would urge people, let's get Mike Lee or someone to take this up and to get his attorney's fees reimbursed to him. That's just totally unfair. The second piece of this is people need to be terminated for pursuing this lawsuit. Right now, we have our U.S. attorney is acting, so they still haven't actually put in a Trump person. I was looking at his bio. I'll share it with you. And I think from what I can tell here that this guy is actually a Biden guy, because so he's been there for, now, to be totally fair about this, he's actually been in the government for a long time, like let's see, since 95. He's been at the U.S. Attorney's Office for Utah, so he's been there a long time. Honestly, I graduated from high school in 95, so he's been there a really long time. So but he was made the first assistant U.S. attorney in June of 22. So this is under Biden, and this suggests that he's actually a Democrat. He needs to go. He needs to be terminated. I don't even think he needs to go back to being either go from the U.S. attorney to the first assistant U.S. attorney. I think he should be terminated from his position because he allowed the weaponization of government against Dr. Moore and his co-defendants. So that'd be one. He needs to be terminated. We also need to get a permanent U.S. attorney in Utah who's a Trump supporter, right? Like, I mean, I voted for Trump. I didn't vote for you to keep Biden people in the government that are weaponizing it against your own voters. That's a problem. We need to get this fixed. We're now 6 months into the administration. These people should have all been replaced by now. We shouldn't have acting U.S. attorneys. And I'll tell you, part of the problem is that the Senate isn't actually confirming all of his appointees again. This is what happened the first term. They take forever to do what we need to be done to have our president have a full slate throughout the government of his people so they can implement his policies that we voted for. But the problem is our Senate is full of a bunch of rhinos who don't even like him. Then they don't like you. Let's be honest about it. They don't like Trump supporters. They hate us. They just want to use us to get into power and enrich themselves. And so they have a massive backlog of political appointees that they haven't gotten done. If these were Democrats, they would have had it done by now. Democrats don't F around like the Republicans do. The Republicans are a bunch of wusses. And you can call it another word too. I'm not going to say on the radio. But also there were 3 AUSAs on this case. And I think all of them should be terminated as well. So let me, I'll share this. I tweeted about this. So 3 AUSAs was Todd Booten, I guess this is his last name, Sachiko Jepson, and Jacob Strain. They should all be terminated. There should be a criminal chief as well at the U.S. Attorney's Office. That person should also be terminated because they would have approved all of the filings that went into this case and the filing of the case in the first place. So there's at least 5 people that need to be terminated from federal employment. And here's what's important about this. If we don't actually hold people accountable, we're going to have, first of all, these people have already showed that they're fine with the weaponization of government. I'll add one caveat though. If, there's so much, if you work for the federal government, I've worked for them before, like, and you oppose something, you can take this so far, your opposition, until at some point someone's going to say, no, you just have to do it. And so at that point, you'd have to do it or quit your job. And so maybe here, if there's some indication that one of these attorneys actually said, I don't want to do this, I don't think we should do this, it's not right, some email proof or something like that, maybe we could talk about they could be able to stay. But barring that, all of them should be terminated. And if you don't do it, then you're just going to have this keep on happening every single time you get a Democrat into power. These are, I guarantee, these people are all Democrats. They were happy, as far as we can tell, to weaponize the government against this doctor who was trying to protect people from having to take a dangerous vaccine. Whatever, again, that's my viewpoint. Dangerous vaccine, but they were trying to punish this doctor for people who are trying to protect themselves from the mandate. And I just think if you don't actually hold people accountable, it'll just keep happening over and over and over again. Because when the Democrats come into power, their actions, what they are going to do is they're going to try to throw every single Republican into jail. These are not like Republicans at all in any way, shape, or form. The Democrat Party is full of militants and people that are dedicated to their cause. They're basically Marxists. Even your average Democrat that you are probably friends with would be okay with sending a lot of you to prison because they disagree with you on stuff. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about weaponization of government and how to actually stop it from happening in the future. If you do not get a handle on this, it will happen again. So those 5 people need to be terminated. And I think until that happens, we don't have full accountability for what happened to Dr. Moore, and it could happen again. And I would say this as well. There were other cases out of the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'd like to go back and maybe take a look at some of these. I know they had filed a case against our prison system because they were not allowing men to go into women's jail cells. So mentally ill men who think they're transgender, they were preventing them from being able to go into the women's prison. We should go look and see who filed that lawsuit. That lawsuit was dismissed early in the term, but the AUSAs on that should also be terminated from their positions. And again, either you have accountability or this type of stuff will keep on happening, especially if you allow those people to work for the government. And I would even say that you should start a blacklist so to make it clear to future Republican administrations that we're not hiring these people back in any federal capacity at all. They can go work for some activist nonprofit, which is where most of them will end up, or an activist law firm, which is where a lot of Democrats go. If you notice, there's a lot of law firms. Democrats, like January 6th people, could not even get representation. They struggled with it. Democrats are committing terror acts on a daily basis. All that stuff going against ICE agents, those are terrorist attacks. And there will be big law firms that will run out to represent every single defendant that comes out of those types of situations will get free representation by Democrat-run law firms. That's how it always works. And the Democrats love terrorists. You know, if you think about Guantanamo Bay and all the Al-Qaeda members that were there and stuff, there were Democrat law firms, again, sending their lawyers down there to go and represent the terrorists. Why would you do that? Why, like, if you're a law firm, and let's say you want your people to get experience, you could have them just do regular run-of-the-mill criminal defense work in your jurisdiction. So let's say you're in DC, just have them go, like represent a robbery or something, or have them go and help poor people that need civil legal help. But these law firms, we're all sending them to Guantanamo Bay to represent terrorists because that's how much they hate you. They hate it. I think a lot of these people just hate America, and that's why they'll go and represent them. Because if you ask me to go and represent a terrorist, I'd be like, no, F off. I have no interest in ever doing that. I don't care if they need representation. It's not coming from me. So anyway, Dr. Moore, I think there's more to be done. And so I hope people will contact Mike Lee, contact Marjorie Taylor Greene, and try to put pressure to get the U.S. Attorney's Office in Utah cleaned up. There's a problem here. We have people that don't actually agree with our conservative state. I don't even know that guy that who's the U.S. attorney. I think he's actually from like New York. So, and he's been here a long time, but at the same time, I think he's a Democrat. So why is he now leading the U.S. Attorney's Office while Trump is president? Okay, now let me see what I had here. Another accountability one. So this one is one of our favorites. It would be Amy Winder Newton. This is another person that I'll tell you, like, again, in Utah, we do not hold elected officials here accountable for the stuff that they do. Now, before we get to this, there was this interesting back and forth, back to like the John Johnson piece of this, where I think John Johnson created the Steak Dinner Republican Facebook group because he's mocking the people that are making fun of him. Okay, I'm okay with humor in politics. I actually think we need more of it because otherwise the stuff just gets really old and annoying. You don't want to be all like angry all the time. You got to have some fun with it. So here, John Johnson wrote a piece about disagreeing better, not butter, better. So let's see here. Let me share this with you. And so I read this, and I'll just tell you that some of it was about like the book, I think the Book of Mormon, and I'm not LDS, so that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I don't really want to comment on that. But I'll say this. I think one of the pieces that's missing to me is there is kind of an over focus on how you say things versus what you do. So words versus actions. So if you want to have a society where we come up with the best policies for everybody, the policies that make the most sense for our state, that reflect I think are more conservative culture that protect children, that are more conducive to people forming families and younger people being able to have children and have lots of children, then you want to have vigorous debate that goes on about this. And sometimes debates can be heated. And I don't actually think that's a bad thing, because people are very passionate about the issues that they speak about. And you want them to feel free to speak about them, because, you know, first of all, you're never going to be right 100% of the time. And you want to hear other people's ideas. You want to refine your own ideas. And then you also want to be able to, you know, have everything out there so that we can come up with the best policy, whatever that looks like. But I think Disagree Better actually over focuses on how you say things, and it doesn't focus on what you do at all. And I'll say in Utah, I think one of the bigger problems is actually the actions that people take, who are the ones that are pushing the Disagree Better thing. So from a personal perspective, I know at least 3 people that have been attacked and had their lives destroyed by Amy Winder Newton. She's a big proponent of Disagree Better, but she is a nasty woman who abuses her office and goes after people. And so I would prefer that we not have the going after people part. And the reason why she does that is because she can't actually win. She can't debate. She can't win on the debates on policies. And part of what was going on is she operates in the shadows. And so when you expose what she's doing in the shadows, instead of just copying to it and maybe changing how she operates in the future, knowing now, okay, I can't, the media, this isn't the old times when the media just ignored everything I did. I have to actually now account for the fact that there are citizens who are watching me, and I have to operate differently. She instead goes after people personally. And I think that's a real problem. And I think Disagree Better, the entire concept would be better focused on how people act. And specifically, it's going to be all the nasty people who promote the Disagree Better campaign. Because I'll be honest, it's like normal, everyday people. They're not doing anything to other people. They don't have any power. I can't do anything to anyone. I don't care. I'm not going to spend my time trying to like go after somebody the way she went after me. That's a waste of my time. But instead, we're talking about how you talk about stuff. And to me, it's a waste of time, waste of effort. So let me tell you about a few of the things for Amy and how I just don't think there's been accountability on her. So number one is this: if you're a Republican, you want conservative, well, I assume you want conservative policies. And one of the biggest opponents of the policies that you want to be able to protect your children is Equality Utah. Well, Amy helped them raise $45,000 so that they could go and spend that money to defeat conservative Republicans that will, or as they say here, to get more pro-equality candidates, which is against conservative Republicans. Because trust me, the equality that they're talking about, you don't want that. That is like they'll trans your kids equality. And so, you know, so she's never been held accountable for doing this. In fact, she tried to deny it, saying she didn't know what this was about. But she's a sophisticated enough player that you should understand. She knows exactly what she was doing. When she got invited to this fundraiser, she knew exactly what it was. What she did not expect is that it would be exposed by, in this case, yours truly. But, you know, she didn't expect that anyone would call her out on it, because I think she's been doing stuff like this for a long time and trying to play both sides of it. Here's how you know that. If you watch her district, she'll tell you that it's a swing district. And so, but if it's a swing district, the Democrats would be spending tons of money to swing it their way. And last time they had this candidate run, they hardly spent any money. They didn't put any effort behind her. And I think it's because they see Amy as being a Democrat, which is what she is a Democrat, but like, you know, she's one of these fake Republicans. But and you know, she's a Democrat. Look at the policy she promotes. She's totally fine with men using women's bathrooms. When we went and we brought, D. Theodore proposed an ordinance to ban men from women's locker rooms and bathrooms. That was actually a categorical ban, by the way. So not what Kara Birkeland did in HB 257, like we talked about earlier, but a categorical ban on men in women's bathrooms and locker rooms. Amy is one of the people that deep sixed it because she's okay with men in women's bathrooms. You know, that's what that is. And this is a good photo that shows you it. Look who she's with. She's with Senator Jennifer Plum, who is most famous for transing her son. totally a bad mother. That's a bad mother. And then Sahara Hayes, who transed her partner. She turned her husband or boyfriend into a girl. Then you got crazy Amy in the middle. And then I think this guy's name is Nate. Let's see if his name's in here. It's Nate something. I think he was a Utah County commissioner, and then he came out as gay later in life. So anyway, so just that's one thing she needs to be held accountable for. Then the other one is she falsely accused a gay man of sexually harassing straight women. And by the way, she actually destroyed his life, completely destroyed his life. And I think she was doing it on behalf of her donors, which is what makes the whole thing crazy. She's actually in a lawsuit now for defamation and conspiracy. She's still in the lawsuit because she tried to get dismissed from it, but she was unsuccessful. So like the victim, and he's a victim, he made such a good claim that she wasn't able to dismiss it, which is typically what happens in defamation lawsuits. And so that should give you a sense of what she was doing, how vindictive and horrible, what a horrible person she is, that she did that to somebody. It's just disgusting behavior. The final one is with Sylvia Meara Fisk. And I know some people have issues with her. I totally get it. But Amy filed this frivolous lawsuit against her, and the judge himself said it was a frivolous lawsuit. Okay, like that's how bad this was, and caused her to incur like $100,000 in legal fees. This is like a middle-class woman, and Amy destroyed her life like that. So it's at least 3 people. And by the way, I bet you that there's more, because I think she's actually Governor Cox's fixer. He's like Governor Cox is kind of like your typical beta male. He uses women to go and do his dirty work for him, and she's the one that's willing to do it. And then the final one was with me. She pressured the Utah Log Cabin the National Log Cabin Republicans to shut down our local chapter. Very strange, because she's never done that with a liberal gay group, which makes me question, why do you think that she went after a conservative gay group but not a liberal one? Here, she actually admitted it on X. Later on, I texted her and I was like, hey, so who are these dozens? She said, I'll read it just in case you can't see it. I asked her, like, or someone said something about, I said, I had talked to the National Log Cabin Republicans, the leadership, and they said 17 elected officials from Utah contacted them and complained about our chapter. Our chapter at the time was growing. We were getting involved in policy making, and we were calling out Republicans that are basically Democrats, right? So, hey, I'm groomers. I think Amy's a groomer. So, what's it, Thatcher? We called out Thatcher. They got upset and then they complained. Well, so when I talked to them, they said 17 elected Republicans from Utah contacted them. They only named 2 though, and it was Amy Winter Newton and Senator Todd Weiler. Now Weiler denies it, although I don't know, maybe he didn't, and maybe someone contacted them on his behalf. I'm not sure, but Amy actually admitted it, and she said, "I did. I am one of the dozens who complained to the national organization about the off-brand messaging. She's not part of she's not gay. At least I don't think Amy's gay. I don't know, and she wasn't part of our organization, so I don't know what she thought, where she thought that she was the one to decide the branding and bullying tactics of Goud. So exposing what she did is bullying according to her. First of all, I don't even think someone who is not in elected office can bully someone in elected office. This is one of the most powerful people in Utah. And so the idea that she runs around claiming that other people bully her is just bullshit. Sorry, I swore. I apologize, but that's what that is. It's all BS. And the idea that people actually fall for this is ridiculous to me. And I think some of it is because she's a woman. So they think, oh, she's a woman, she's getting bullied. She's not getting bullied. Okay, like, in fact, the bullying was her. She's admitting to bullying me. He has lied about me. That was her claim. I just said that she helped Equality Utah raise $45,000. She did. I got an email about it from Equality Utah and many other Republicans, lowercase Republicans. I'm going to unapologetically stand up to bullies. That's a line she uses a lot because she is a bully. But she should be held accountable for the way that she's treated people. We don't want elected officials like this, because what this does is it chills speech and it chills people from getting involved in the political process. Why would anybody want to get involved in Utah in the political process at all? Because the ramifications of this are, if the elected officials don't like you or they don't like your positions, this is how they act. They act like petulant little children who abuse their office. And let me just add, like, this woman has never worked for real in her entire life. Her entire persona is based on using her grandfather's last name and what he built, and then just translating that into a political career. But it's not based on any talent that she has. She's a product of nepotism. And so she came after me. I'm not a product of nepotism. I actually had to work. And the other two people are the same thing. Like the gay guys, Dave Robinson and Sylvia Merfus, these are everyday people who had to work for what they got. They weren't handed stuff. And so to have this privileged, liberal white female, that's what she is, affluent liberal white female who's never worked in her life, come after everyday people, I think that chills other people from getting involved in politics. There needs to be accountability for this. So the way to hold this woman accountable is to get her out of office. You can get somebody way better than this. I'll just add, she's fake too. If you've ever gone to a county council meeting, she does that voice that I think a lot of Utahns find to be comforting. It's like that. They talk like this. And then people are like, oh, she's so credible. But really, she's fake. Still fake. She hates you. She's using you. She uses her voters to get into power. And then she uses that power to enrich herself and her family. That's how this stuff works. I mean, the benefits to her son were great. One of her sons got a scholarship from the government that a bunch of other elected officials' sons and daughters also got. They're all super talented. Don't worry. It has nothing to do with the connections to the parents. And then that same son, I think, actually has a job at a tech company that I think is also from connections. It's not from actual talent. Some of you may think it's not okay to ask the question, but I actually think it is. We should be wondering about this. Like, why are these elected officials' kids getting all these special deals? Because on the example of scholarship, he took a scholarship that should have gone to a more deserving kid. And that kid didn't get it because he stole it based on his mom's political connections. I have real issues with this because I got a scholarship going to undergrad, but I didn't have any political connections. I just got it because I earned it. And so I think I feel like it's personal to me that other kids in a similar situation to what I came from should be able to get those scholarships based on their merit and not have people that are using their last names and using their political power to get their kids special advantages. We should be against that. Anyway, accountability. She should be out of office. She's up for re-election next year. I think the biggest benefit to the Republican Party in Utah generally would be to get her out of politics. She's a bad person, disgusting behavior. Disagree better should be about, not disagree better, it should be about act better. Stop being a witch. That would be good. That should be the statement for her. Stop being a witch. Stop going after people. It's nasty. And get out of politics. We don't need you. You're actually not helpful to anything. Okay. So that's the third accountability. I think I had another. Then the other one is this. Oh, one more point on that. So when I brought this up to friends, in the Republican Party, and I'll talk about Amy and the things that she has done to people, they will tell me stuff like, Goud, she's a good mother and a good wife. And I'm just like, oh, who cares? I don't care. But also, how can you be a good mother if you're going around attacking people and you're showing your kids that it's okay for you to abuse your power to destroy other people's lives? I don't think that makes you a good mother or a good wife. I actually think this makes you a bad person. And you're teaching your kids the really bad lessons. And I don't even know if she's a good mother because, like I said, if her son is getting all these, got a scholarship he was not entitled to, and has a job that he's getting through political connections, then how does that make her a good mother? That actually makes her a bad mother because she's giving him stuff he's not entitled to. So that would be kind of, I don't think that's a good mother. And by the way, when you attack other people, they have mothers too, right? Like I have a mother. Do you think my mother likes it when someone like Amy is destroying my life like that? No. Do you think Dave Robinson's mother likes it when she destroyed his life with these fake sexual harassment claims? Of course not. Like no mother wants that to happen to their child. And so maybe those of you that all claim because you're a mother, you get to lie about people, you should maybe look in the mirror and think about what if that happens to your kid? And that's a message to more than just Amy, by the way. Okay, so then I had one other point on the accountability, and it's this one. There's the lieutenant governor too. So let's play this. I'm excited and I get to play videos for you guys. Pretty cool. Here. Okay, here we go.
Believers in personal responsibility, and but we also are big believers in the free market. And we're also big believers in personal responsibility and consequences of actions. And so my message today for business owners is Governor Cox and I support you if you decide to require your employees to be vaccinated. We support you in that.
Okay. I don't even think we need to play any more of that. That makes me so mad. So this is like really messed up, right? The what she did here is she forced people to get a vaccine that was not safe. And she told employers that she supported them linking your employment to getting that vaccine. That should disqualify her from any further office. Now, on top of that, like Tracy and I were talking about, you also have the cheating issue, right? That she did cheat. They did not have the number of signatures they needed to get onto the GOP primary ballot. And so when you have that, this is the combination. This is not someone who should be in public office anymore. We need to, again, accountability means she should be gone. I would say she wants to go to higher office. So I think there's been some kind of rumors out there that she wants to run for Senate. I think potentially against Mike Lee. And I'm not even a big Mike Lee fan, and mainly because I don't think he's effective. But not that I would like someone who's more effective, and also more conservative. And also that she might run for the House. So just keep that in mind. She's going to try to go to higher office, and that will be your opportunity to knock her out. The other one is she might run for governor in 2028. And so wherever she goes next, the goal should be to knock her out and retire her and send her back to Spanish Fork, because there's nothing good that has come from this woman being in public office. She's horrible. And that's accountability. You don't, and I some of you, I'm sure, are thinking like, oh, we should forgive people. I don't think you forgive people for stuff like that. Either you hold them accountable or they'll do it again. Now, let's see here. Oh, okay. And on the COVID thing in general, I don't think we've ever had a full accounting for what happened during COVID and how the government responded to it, from mask mandates to vax mandates that they allowed. Okay, so in Utah, what they constantly try to do is claim that they did not allow vax mandates, mask mandates, and all these types of things. But the reality is they did allow them. They had them. We had mask mandates, and they allowed vax mandates. And in fact, elected officials promoted vax mandates. And so Todd Weiler actually posted about this the other day. And the issue here is, so he says, just a friendly reminder that Utah had the 6th lowest rate of COVID deaths of the 50 states, much lower than California with its draconian shutdown. Hawaii was the lowest, but had the geographic benefit of testing everyone before they entered. Well, the problem I see with this is that we've never had a full accounting of COVID in general. So we don't even know if people died of COVID or they died with COVID, because everything was being counted as a COVID death. There would obviously be some deaths that happened, and I think you have to accept that that's part of it. But then there's all these other issues, right? Like the flu was gone that year. It was all, maybe some of that was put into the COVID numbers. And I think we need a better accounting of what happened. Because my personal goal is we should never have that happen again. what the types of just like draconian measures that they were taking, a lot of them I think were actually unconstitutional. We don't want that to happen again. And I think in order for us to get there, we need to have full accountability, because otherwise people like Todd Weiler can keep posting about what a great job they did under COVID. I don't think they did a good job. Let's see if maybe he's got his, I don't know what, yeah, he's got this. He's using Grok. I guess everyone's using Grok now, huh? So I'm just trying to find the Utah number here. I don't know, I'm not seeing it. Oh, 260 people died from COVID. Okay, so do you really think, and I'm not trying to minimize or anyone's death, but were shutdowns really worth 260 people? Like, do you shut everything down to save 260 people who probably already had multiple comorbidities, so they were probably close to dying anyway? I don't mean that to minimize anyone's death, but you do have to make these you have to weigh different issues when you're trying to decide public policy that impacts all sorts of people. I mean, there are children who went to school wearing masks for 2 years who were unable to learn because it was distracting. Do you really think that their grandparents who are at higher risk wanted their grandchildren to go to school like that, versus instead taking the risk and letting their grandkids go to school because there was no risk to them of a COVID issue? I mean, these are the things that the debates we weren't having about how to deal with COVID. And we ended up with horrible policies that actually caused all sorts of harm across the board. I mean, increases in suicides, destruction of people's wealth and their jobs. I had a friend who he was a bartender. He lost his job. Totally changed his life. And I don't know if it was for the better, to be honest with you. It was sad. This guy was like a great bartender, and he lost everything. And I blame the people that did the COVID stuff for doing that to him. It was horrible. But that's the things we weren't doing during COVID. And we need better accountability for COVID. And honestly, I think that means that everybody that was involved in pushing mandates, pushing all sorts of restrictions, they should be out of office. They already showed you that they are not capable of rising above propaganda to have honest conversations with you about how to handle issues properly. And so why would you want them there when the next crisis comes along? Because you know it'll come. It's a matter of time. Okay, we got a comment from Truth Sleuth. The good wife and good mother line is another way to say don't criticize her because she is Mormon. No, it's probably some truth to that. And I don't even know. I feel like it's like this. They definitely don't give me the benefit of those types of comments. That's what I've noticed. It's something. Yeah, maybe it is that. It's a good, interesting observation. Okay, let's see. Do I have anything else real quick before we go? Oh, that's interesting. So Truth Sleuth says many Mormons take criticism of other Mormons personally, and I think that's interesting because I would never think, I think Amy Winder Newton's behavior is abhorrent. It is disgusting. But I don't take it that all Mormons or all members of the LDS faith are like that. I would never think that. There's wonderful people. Many of my neighbors are really fantastic people. So many of the people I've met in Utah are fantastic. They're real fighters. They're out there. They're trying to improve our state. I wouldn't ever, take a whole group as being, or one person like that as being representative of the whole group at all. So I guess if people feel that way, you shouldn't take it personally. It's not meant personal. It's meant personal for Amy, not to all of you. I assume that she's an anomaly. An unfortunate one. Okay, well, we are just about at time here. So I hope that was helpful. The whole point of the show today was just to talk about getting accountability for what government officials have been doing. We have more work to do. And so we need to do a better job of trying to do the accountability. And there's different aspects to this, right? So like I said, the U.S. Attorney's Office piece of this, we need to get the people that were involved in that lawsuit fired. That will require conversations with our elected officials who then need to go and talk to Pam Bondi to clean out the U.S. Attorney's Office in Utah. I think that one is actually very doable. with the right kind of pressure, I think Trump and his administration have shown they do respond to these types of pressures from grassroots people. Elected officials is a little bit of a different issue. This is going to require voters to actually get out there and try to start holding accountable people like Amy and other people like her in our state that have done a lot of damage to the state and to individuals, and trying to get them out of office. That's a little bit of a different challenge, but I think we can I think we can get that done. Okay, well, we are at 7 o'clock, and so I'm going to call it a night. It's been a pleasure, as always. Well, thank you for listening to the Goud crowd. I love all your phone calls. It's only a crowd if more of you call in. So feel free to call in, and I will see you next week. In the meantime, if you have any tips or anything that you want to send me, feel free to send them to me, and then maybe we can include that in the show next week.